Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about the next two systems and whether one of them could be named Winter Storm Jasper. So let's get right on into it, starting off with the National Weather Service page, where we do have some winter weather advisories in effect for North Dakota, Minnesota, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, and West Virginia due to that first system, which according to the NAM is going to be this low pressure, and that is producing moderate to potentially heavy snowfall across areas such as Michigan and into the northern parts of New England and the Northeast throughout Wednesday morning. But as we see throughout the day on Wednesday, we will see some Gulf moisture starting to get pulled up from the secondary low here and collide with that cold air behind this low pressure, which was much stronger. And you can see that those two air masses collide, the warm Gulf air getting pulled up, as well as the cold Canadian air mass coming down from Canada. And those two collide, and we see some snowfall right along this boundary right here. And we can see that some spots could see moderate, maybe even heavier snowfall. Not super heavy, but heavier. And we also see that we could have some decent rainfall, maybe a line of thunderstorms along with this in areas of the south. And all of this leads up to a system that moves into the Ohio River Valley and the Northeast. And generally I've been seeing a decent, 0 to 3 in some spots, but maybe even up to 4 or 5 inches in some spots. But we then start to look toward the south, where the NAM is showing sleet and freezing rain as far down as Corpus Christi, potentially, as well as some snowfall in the northern tier here. And these two systems kind of, not really like work together, but kind of just move across the country at the same time, where we have this area of lighter snowfall in the northern tier of the country, as well as a much stronger system, not a low pressure yet, but potentially one here developing, and that will produce heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain across the mid-Atlantic and the south, and potentially, depending on how the model runs figure this out, into the northeast. The two options for this storm in the northeast are as follows. So, we can see here, this is the 00Z run of the European model from yesterday, and that shows this storm generating right off the coast, and then we see it move into the northeast with a potentially blockbuster nor'easter with close to, if not more than, a foot of snow across the major metropolitan areas from even Richmond all the way up to Boston. So that is one of the potential options. The second option is it goes right out to sea, and we don't really see many impacts outside of the mid-Atlantic and the Carolinas, but even so, this is much lighter precipitation in that sense. So maybe some very minor impacts in the northeast in areas such as DC, Richmond, Baltimore, Philadelphia, maybe even Boston, but not substantial enough to really be named a winter storm. So, what does the NAM show? The NAM is showing, this is at 12Z on Saturday. So let's go to Saturday at 12Z on each of these models and see where the low pressures line up, because I think that's the best way to kind of visualize this system. So, with the NAM, you see that the low pressure is right off the coast here of North Carolina, not immediately along the coast, but just off the coast, maybe like 100 miles. And then we could also compare that to the European model run, which has that low pressure hugging the coast a little bit more, as well as being further north just a little bit, but that could just be some differences in timing, but a little bit further to the west. And then the 12Z model run has this way off to the east, basically out to sea. So, based on current projections, if we want to kind of see this following a similar track, just east or west, the NAM is showing closer to that blockbuster nor'easter than the storm just moving out to sea. So, if I had to bet on what this will show in the next few model runs as we're moving into the weekend, I would say more of that blockbuster nor'easter that we could be seeing, maybe not a foot plus in some of these major locations, but definitely a half a foot possible. So I do want to just take a look at those NAM projections for that first storm and snowfall totals. So let's take a look at some of those. So across the south, well, not the south, but the Ohio River Valley, we could see maybe even up to 4 inches in areas of Kentucky and West Virginia, as well as right along the Ohio River. We could see a band set up here with 3 inches of snow, but generally there, we're looking at 0 to 3. In the mountains of West Virginia and eastern Kentucky, you're more into the 3 to 6 inch range. Then we kind of move into the northeast, where you see that areas around DC are in that 0 to 3 inch range. Not many areas getting above 4, but it is possible, maybe even near Baltimore, as well as parts of Philadelphia could see around 4. So Baltimore and Philadelphia, I put you guys in the 2 to 4 inch range. I would say that you guys would be in the more moderate side of the storm, but not essentially in heavy enough snowfall that could get you up to 6 inches. So that's why I'm kind of modifying my own recommendation for, snowfall total ranges. I usually use 0 to 3, 3 to 6, but this time let's call it 2 to 4. Cut the difference in half there. Then you get into New York and southern New England, which is a general 0 to 3 with some spots of eastern Connecticut into maybe even parts of southern Massachusetts seeing that 2 to 4 inch range, but Boston is right around there as well, that 2 to 4. I don't think anyone will see, except for maybe some areas of Michigan and parts of New York and Maine that could be seeing that northern part of the system that's kind of cutting across the northern tier of the country. I don't think anyone will be seeing from the second part of the system 5 inches. I doubt it. I mean, of course it's possible, but I think that the probability of that is pretty low, just because this will be on a frontal system, and usually with frontal systems you have that rain switching over to snow and that Kuchera ratio. Let's actually take a look at it. The Kuchera ratio is typically changing rapidly, so when you're starting off, you can see that this cold front's coming down here, and that's why we see areas of Maine, New York, and Michigan getting more, because they already have that Kuchera ratio in place. But right along that frontal boundary, you see a rapidly changing Kuchera ratio, and that's basically just the amount of snow that's equivalent to 1 inch of rain. So you can see here in parts of, this is the front, and you can see that right along that boundary, you're going from 0 to 7 in, that's not a lot of distance. That's maybe 50 miles. So depending on where those bands set up within that time frame is where you're going to see maybe 4-5 inches, but I honestly doubt it. But that is my coverage of these two storms for now. That first system is moving through the country today into tomorrow. I'll probably have another update tomorrow, but we now have to set our focus toward that second system, as it is going to be rolling up the East Coast potentially this weekend, Friday into Saturday. So will one of these storms be named Winter Storm Jasper? Let me know in the comments. Let's see what you guys think. But that is all I have for today. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.